Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thanks for stopping by. In today's video, I will be doing the follow-up video for after Stamp Wars. Stamp Wars 15, we use the gel press with multiple mediums, and that's what I'm going to be using today. So I've got my gel press, and you can see that it is quite stained. I have used it for multiple mediums, ending up staining it. Doesn't hurt it a bit. And but I have a giveaway with this one, and what I'll be giving away, and I'll tell you at the end of the video what you need to do, is I'll be giving away the full set of Simon Hurley's Lunar Paste to one lucky winner. So looking forward to that. And just happened to notice while I was putting these away that, wait a minute, there's something cool on here. I think I'll grab it. So there's a little bubble wrap on the top, so I'm just going to take my scissors and snip that off. So, yep, I'm being risky working with scissors around my gel press, but that's okay. I need a new one anyway. I wrecked this one on the other side. But, so what we're going to be using today is I'm going to be using some paint. This is just some deco art, kind of a pink tourmaline color. And then I'm going to be using the Tim Holtz Distress Paint in Kish Flamingo and Picket Fence. And that's just kind of for blending purposes because the background's going to be white anyway. And then I'm going to be using Kish Flamingo ink as well for stamping the inside of the card. And I've got this little stamp set. I got this set, and also I've got this little ribbon. I got that set, oh gosh, I bought it online on clearance. I don't even remember where. So at the end of the video, I'll mark what the name of it is and maybe you can find it. So what I'm going to do first is shake up my paint. And you can see my little brayer off to the side. And it's not a brand name brayer, it's an Amazon brayer. So I'm just going to drop little pieces of paint here and there on this press. Make sure it's coming out there. And I don't want the background to be super dark pink at all. I just want that little bit of sheen in there. Now I'm going to take the Kish Flamingo and just lay little dots here and there. And then finally I'm going to take some of the Picket Fence, and I have one of the old school ones. And so I just use my little knife there to get some paint out and just kind of drip it on here and there. Mostly, I don't want it dripped on top of those little dark pink swirlies. Put the lid on my paint because I know me and I'll have an accident. And I'm just going to grab a paper towel here and wipe off my knife so it's ready to use. I'm going to move stuff out of the way, and you see beside me I've got a piece of white paper, and I am using the Accent Opaque in 120 pound. And then also I've got this little butterfly wing from the gel press minis. And I'm just going to start braying this ink in, and if it gets too blendy I brayer off because I don't want it to necessarily blend together. I'm looking more for a texture. So, you know, I get too much ink, I just brayer off, and I can use that piece off to the side too as a background. So that's what I kind of like about the brayered off pieces. And so I'll save that once I'm done. And I'm just going to kind of spread this around. And what I do is I lift and roll, lift and roll, lift and roll, just to kind of get that paint down on there. I want just a wee bit more of that pink tourmaline. So I'm just going to put a couple more spots. And that's the coolest thing about gel press is you don't ever have to be done. You can just clean it off and start over if you're not happy. But when I am brayering off, I do try to make sure I cover enough to get a couple of good pieces for a card. And notice I'm not trying to make it super smooth or anything. I'm going to take that little piece of bubble wrap and I'm just going to lay it down in there here and there. No real rhyme or reason. just in a couple of spots, just to kind of get a little bit of extra texture. And I'm not pressing down hard or anything, and I'm trying to keep the edges off because I don't want edge lines. Now I'm going to just lay my accent opaque paper down and give it a good massage. Just want to make sure all the parts stick to the paper. And then I'm going to pull. Cool, I'm happy with that. Looks neat. So you can see I've still got paint left over on my gel press. So I'm just going to spray a little water on there because I do want to make a ribbon, and I want the ribbon to be lighter in color. So I'm going to go ahead and just spray some water just exactly like it is. And I'm going to grab another piece of accent opaque, and this is the 120 pound, and I'm just going to lay it on there, and I'm going to pull that one too. I got a cool little sort of tie-dye effect out of that. I like it. It's pretty neat. A lot of times I don't clean this thing. I just move it aside. I'm going to give it a little bit of a clean because it is acrylic paint, and there's, you know, the kind of sparkly that I might not want in my next project. Kind of pick and choose what I want to sparkle, but I'm going to go ahead and put that one away in its clamshell. And I'm going to clean off my brayer. And sorry, I've been kind of MIA. I've been kind of sick lately. I'm okay now. Actually, I feel pretty good. But I've been on a pretty long course of some pretty hefty antibiotics. And so, you know how those can be for some people. At least for me, I feel pretty nauseous most of the time. So today's my last day taking these things, and I'll be glad they're over. So I want to make sure that that's nice and dry. And meanwhile, I'll go ahead and get out my little ribbon here. And this is from Simon Says Stamp. I think it cost me $5 or $7, and then I had a $5 coupon, but it was $6.99 for shipping, so you know how that goes. But I am going to cut it out of that that second pull that I made, so it has some contrast to the first. And want to make sure that I'm going to cut out the extra, obviously, because I have to be able to run it through my Vagabond. I'll just cut out a piece big enough that I need, and I'm going to run that through, and then I'm going to run 2 more through so that I can make it kind of stacked with some dimension. The front of the card isn't going to have any kind of sentiment on it. The sentiment's going to be on the inside, but here we are, just cutting out the pieces that we need. And you know, sometimes I probably should have just grabbed my Sidekick for this, but I didn't, so that's that. So I'll cut that one, I'll put it aside. You can see the paint is still drying there, so I'm going to cut 2 more just out of a piece of a card panel. I pre-cut my card panels, by the way, into 5.5 by 4.25, so that they're handy and ready to go. And I also do that with my watercolor sheets, because generally I don't fully cover a whole watercolor sheet, and I can get 4 cards out of the normal size, and last size I bought is like 15 by 11 or something like that. So I was able to get 6 cards out of each piece. Or card fronts, I should say. I do use a lot of watercolor paper because I do like the mixed media, and I like to get my paper wet. Accent opaque doesn't really do so great with water. It tends to, I don't even know how to describe it, it tends to get warts, something like that. Anyway, getting my pieces cut out here so I can glue them together while we wait for the background panel to dry. And those are just simply put glue on and stack them. I really like playing with the gel press in many different ways, and I'm just showing you one way that's actually fairly simple, nothing too wild, nothing too crazy mixed media, just a simple card. And this being October and Breast Cancer Awareness Month, I thought that I would go ahead and pay homage to my ladies and gentlemen who are fighting, have fought, have won, and those who have lost to breast cancer. You know, for the most part, it's a fairly preventable disease. I do have a couple of friends that just went ahead and did a surgery to remove their breasts so that they weren't at risk any longer. And I fully support that. Whatever it takes to stay healthy. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move my stuff out of the way and get this aside somewhere so it can finish drying. And because I don't need this piece of paper or anything anymore, but first I'm going to trim out this other piece, and I'm going to, pick and choose which parts I trim off until I finally trim it off to 4 by 5 1/4. But I do end up trimming off more, because you'll see pretty soon when I put my butterfly down, despite my best efforts to get him straight, he's not straight, or not distributed evenly on the card. So this kind of, if you did something like this in blue, it would look like water or something, or if you did it in browns and grays, it would look like a piece of granite stone. So sky's the limit. Just play, throw your paint on there and be done with it. Have a good time. I don't recommend using any kind of heavy glitter or anything on it, but just about anything else is just fine. And I don't know why I went ahead and got that out, because I don't need it. But what I need is to get all this stuff out of my way so that I can show you how I made the butterfly. And these are the minis, the gel press minis that I'll be using. And here's this guy. And so what I'm going to try to do here is try to find the center. And I don't know why this Tim Holtz ruler just tends to confuse me. I'm like, okay, there's the 0, so what? Let's eyeball it. No, let's measure. So it should be 2 1/8. No, it should be 2 5/8. Just me trying to split 5 1/4 in half. It's crazy making. I should have left it at 5 1/2 and trimmed it later. Anyways, I find what I think to be about the center. And you can see I'm way off there. I'm telling you, just measure is tough for me. Okay, right about there. That looks good. And I'm just going to take a piece of scrap paper and I'm going to just kind of slide it under there so that I have kind of just a guideline. I don't really want to draw a line on here. And I imagine I could probably use the grids from my glass mat, but I'm not. So that's that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my little brayer. This is a little brayer from Ranger and Tim Holtz. And I'm going to brayer on the pink tourmaline onto the butterfly wing. And so what's so cool about these is they're reversible. And so you get the full butterfly from just one wing. Not, for a stamp, you would have to have 2 stamps to do it. So I'm using it like a stamp, and I'm just roughly rolling on the paint. And, making sure it's smoothed out, and then come to realize I have put my guideline piece of paper on the wrong side. Forgot that was reversed. So I'm just going to flip my whole panel over. And you can see that's where I lost my midpoint. And I'm going to just go ahead and lay this down and kind of get it nice and even. And just give it a press. And then lift. And I'm not trying to make a strong impression. I'm trying to just make it, not strong. I guess that's a good word for it. So I'm going to go ahead and lay this down, and you see I'm putting the center line there on the center, and I am using Simon Hurley's acrylic stamping block. I think it's 4 by 5. I do like these, and I do end up getting a little bit extra too much paint. It squirts out too fast. But I don't want to squirt my paint out onto paper because the paper will suck it up. So it's better to squirt it directly onto the gel press, or, you know, I could have probably squirted some onto my silicone mat and brayered it, but, you know, you just end up losing more paint than you want to. So I'm just going to line that up with the center of the other one, lay it down, and give it a press. And these things come out perfectly not perfect. And I say that because you just, you know, it's hard to control the amount of paint that you get on there, especially when you stop seeing it so well. But you can see that I did get him off center a bit, so I wind up trimming him down. But we're going to go ahead and let this dry. And once it's dry, we'll come back and complete the card. All right, nice and dry. Let's get ready. So what I have here is a card base that is 5.5 by 4.25. I have my little ribbon, and what I want to do is I want to do the inside sentiment for this card, which is where the Kitsch Flamingo ink comes in. So I'm going to take and move my stuff out of the way, because I know me, and I'll wreck something or spill something, and I'm going to open up my card because it's going to be a tent fold. And I'm going to go ahead and place it in my stamping platform, and I'm going to grab out my stamp here. And I'm going to kind of overlay my sentiments. So we're going to start with You Can, and this stamp company is called somemorefun.com. And when they package their stamps, the backing is just like a piece of almost like saran wrap. So I'm trying to get this off of here. And I'm going to lay that sentiment and try to get it fairly centered in the card. Again, me, measurements and getting things centered, hardly a thing, but it's okay. It's a handmade card, so I'm okay with it. And then I do want this to be kind of grungy and in the background. I want it readable still, but I don't want it to be the main focus. So I'm not worried about getting my ink down. As long as I've got it all covered, it can be blotchy, so to speak. I'll go ahead and there we go. Put that more in view so you can see it. Just kind of rub that down. Yeah, just to make sure that all the letters are covered so it is readable. There we go. Love it. So it kind of matches that sort of tie-dye effect on the front. And I like those nice big letters. I don't like them cut out, though. I have made some cards with them cut out, and for whatever reason, I'm not crazy about how they look when they're cut out, unless they go completely across the card. And so the next stamp I'm going to use is also from this stamp set, and it says Kick Cancer's Butt. And that's how I feel about it, so I'm just going to mess with it until it looks even to me. And I will be stamping that with some VersaFine Clair in Nocturne, because I want that to be the bold portion of the sentiment. And before you close the card, you want to make sure that this is dry, because otherwise you'll close the card and then the black ink will move itself up to the top part of the card, which we don't want. Yeah, I really like the way that looks right there. Go ahead and clean off my stamp. And y'all, I'm doing this before work. It's 6:30 in the morning here, and I start work in about 15 minutes, so I'll probably be uploading this while I'm working. Hopefully it's not too busy of a day, but it is Monday, so it happens. So I want to kind of let that dry, and what I'd like for you to do is in the comments section below, first you have to like this video, and then in the comment section below, I'd like you to tell me if you've ever used a gel press, if you want to use a gel press, what your experience is with the gel press. I'd love to hear it. And if you want to show off your stuff, you can always get in my Not Afraid to Color group on Facebook and post your goodies, because I love seeing your stuff. So this is most likely dry. I'm going to take a chance here. I'm going to go ahead and glue this panel down to the card base. And I'm just using my normal Reptile adhesive that I use. I'm going to run out of it pretty soon, and I'm going to have to look to another brand because they've been out of stock. But I still have quite a bit in my refill bottle, so I'm good. And I'm just going to try and make sure that that's kind of centered on there. Even space all around. Just press down, and I don't want to mush down on it because I don't want any glue smushing out of it. I know you can wipe it off, but I feel like it shows, so I don't like that. Okay, got that nice and down. I'm going to go ahead and use my ribbon as the butterfly body. And I'll glue him down with some Reptile adhesive as well. There we go. Yeah. It doesn't take long for that stuff to stick. I like it with the extra added dimension and the same color, only in a lighter phase. I don't know. I'd like to get this card, and yeah, someone will get it, obviously, but we'll just have to wait and see. So I'm going to go ahead and just throw some embellishment on, and these are the bouquet lights from Honeybee Stamps, and they are, again, the flat sequins with no hole. And I believe I have every single one they have because I don't like holy sequins, so. And these are nice and flat, so they're super mailable. And I'm just going to go ahead and place that in various places. And I'm going to put a little one right down here. And guys, I didn't speed up this video at all. It would have been half as done, but I just decided not to speed this one up. I'm going to get one right here. And I'm just going to put 5 on, and I'm going to keep them centered around, you know, pretty much around the butterfly, inside the butterfly. These ones are super cool, reflective. And okay, so I lied. Well, we're still kind of inside the butterfly. Kind of. And I just shake those around so I can get the right size and on the right orientation, because they do dome up a tiny bit, and I don't want to try to glue down the dome side because it doesn't work unless you put a big glob of glue. So yeah, I just make sure I grab the flat side, and whether I want one there or not, I'm getting one there because I just put down glue. You can add texture to this. You can add a sentiment if you want to. I just didn't have anything that the UCAN was too gigantic and would take over the little ribbon, and the ribbon was the whole point. So there we go. I'll go ahead and put these back away before I spill them everywhere. Here's a little closer up look at this card. Let me move it up here. I hope you enjoyed this video, and don't forget to comment in the comment section your experience with the gel press and how you liked it, if you don't like it, if you've tried it, if you haven't tried it, if you want to try it, everything like that. Make sure to hit the thumbs up button, and you can hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell if you want to be notified each time I upload a new video. Thanks for stopping by. Have an awesome day.